Hi, I am author Casey Bell, and I am going to read to you my book, 4SCORE. Here is part one of chapter one. 4SCORE, chapter one, introduction. Music, it's all I need to have fun. Real music, play those instruments. Music, it's all I need to have fun. Real music, bring on the instruments. I remember the first time we sang that song in the studio. Neither one of us liked it. He thought it was too simple and boring. But because our manager, but because of our manager, we made ourselves enjoy it. The worst thing about it was that it became one of our top songs, which meant we had to sing it everywhere we went. It was very annoying sometimes. People always ask me what it was like being in the music business. I always say the same thing. It was an experience. It educated me and I will never forget. Most people always dream about being in this business, but don't realize it is not as glamorous as it looks all the time. We had our ups and downs. Our downs were so low that by the time we had an up, it barely did anything for us. But before I could, but before I go any further about the business I endured, let me start from the beginning. I was born to the parents of Keith and Hazel Washington. They named me Antrang Edward. Antrang means first son. I was their third child and first son. I never liked my name. By the time I was in the fourth grade, I started using my middle name, and by the time I was in the seventh grade, no one knew what my first name was. My dad was a minister, and my mom was the choir director at Holy Tabernacle, so I spent my childhood in church. I started singing in the choir when I was 5, and I had my first solo when I was 7. My mother took me to talent shows and pageants all over the place. I won some and lost some, but it didn't stop my mother from entering me into every little thing. It wasn't until I was 14 that I told her I wanted to be a theater actor. I told her that I didn't want to do any more talent shows. She was disappointed at first, but she got over it quickly when she decided to start taking me to auditions all over town. I became a part of community theater and I enjoyed it much. Years went by and I attended college. I majored in theater performance and graphic design, something to fall back on. After graduation, I moved to New York with a high school friend to fulfill my dream in acting. The beginning. Edward strolls out of a building with his head down. He turns the corner and continues a food box before entering an apartment building. He takes the elevator to the third floor. When he gets to the door, he slightly bangs his head on the door, then opens it. He walks in and sees Derek watching television. Derek asks, "How did it go?" "It didn't, like always." "Well, there's always next time." "It doesn't seem like it. I'm really getting tired of this." "That's show business for you. Remember, you wanted to do this." "Everyone knows that it is the toughest business to find success in. They say once you're in, you're in. So I'm sure one of these days you're going to get something." "I don't know. Do you know how many auditions I've had?" "How many?" "Too many. I've been going to at least one a day. Sometimes 2 or 3 of them in a day and nothing. I haven't even gotten a call back yet. And they don't even tell me what's wrong. They just say thank you, and half of them don't even look at me. How can they know I'm not good for the show and they don't even look at me?" "I don't know how they do things, Edward, but this is your dream. No matter how frustrating it is, you have to make it happen." "I don't know. I'm thinking about moving back to Connecticut and being the graphic designer everyone wants me to be." "You know you won't be happy." "I actually enjoy graphic arts." "Then why don't you do it?" "I don't know. I don't even know why I feel like I need to stay here. There is nothing here for me. No one wants me. There is nothing here for me. No one wants me. I feel like I've been to every audition in New York. I think even I think every producer, casting director, and agent has seen me. They don't want me, and I'm not sure why. I thought I was talented." "You are talented. You can sing better than anyone I know." And you can dance really well, and your acting, don't get me started on your acting skills. I'll be here all night, but they don't see it. They don't even try to see it. They don't want it. If they don't want it, who will? Many people have wanted it. Look at all the community theaters you were involved in. Why don't you just get a regular 9 to 5 in graphic arts and do community theater on the side? I'm sure the experience you get from New York Community Theater will elevate your skills with each production. Start off small, then move to the top. You know what I mean. Community, then regional, off Broadway, then the big guns Broadway. I don't know. I seriously don't think I can go to another audition. I can't take another rejection. You know, all the greats had to go through the same thing. It wasn't all peaches and cream for them either. If this is truly what you love, Edward, then you should never get tired of it. You should never give up. I thought the same thing, but if I'm thinking this way, maybe I don't want it as bad as I thought. Well, do you? Edward stops to think about it. I don't know. I don't know anymore. There's a slight pause in the room before Edward breaks it. Well, enough about me. Did you get the promotion? No, Brian got it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. No, it's okay. I guess he deserved it. He has more experience and education than me. Yeah, but that shouldn't count. I mean, it's the food business. You can cook much better than him. I've tried his food. He makes very dry turkey. Now, you, on the other hand, know how to make it moist. Besides, overall, you're the better cook. I can't believe they gave it to him. Hey, what are you going to do? Right? After college, I moved in with Derek Johnson. I met him when I was around 10. His mom, Bertha, and my mom were best friends in high school. They kept in touch through college. After their graduation is when things changed. My mom moved to Connecticut and Bertha moved to New York. It wasn't until a couple of years later that Bertha moved to Connecticut to take a job offer that I met Derek. After high school, Derek moved back to New York while I attended college in New Jersey. Derek and I made arrangements which allowed me to stay with him after my graduation. The plan was for me to stay until I found a job and got my own apartment, but finding a job was more difficult than I imagined. After searching and searching and searching, I decided to take Derek's advice and get a 9 to 5 in graphic design. I applied for 5 different graphic design jobs and I received 2 interviews. I went on both and received an offer, which I accepted with CSB design and printing. It was about a year later that I started auditioning again. The first show I did that year was Be the Love with the Harper Community Players. I was in the original cast before it went to Broadway. The show I did was Queen. The other show I did was Queen Loomis with the Acorn Theater Ensemble. At that point, I had realized how much fun I was having that I didn't care about the rejections anymore. It just felt good to be wanted. Although my self-esteem should not have been affected by the rejections, being a part of community theater helped it rise. I spent about 18 months with Derek before moving out. I was enjoying CSB print design and printing and community theater, but there was still a part of me wishing that I could do theater and get paid. After moving out, it was about another year before I did another audition. At that time, I was in 8 shows and was involved with 6 different community theaters. I figured I was ready to give it another try. I went to another audition, and from start to finish, it was horrible. The day started with me walking to the audition, and it started to rain. I should have watched the weather. I was soaked, and so was my resume. The protective sheet I had in did not protect it in any way. I walked in wet and annoyed, and I was 30 minutes late. I walked in, and there are a ton of people. I was number 321. I waited and waited and waited, and by the time they called me, I was tired and ready to go home. However, I go in ready to sing my best, give them my all, and I mess up the song. My voice cracked, and I forgot some of the words. I smiled when I was done, and all I got was another thank you. I left very frustrated and upset, and I cried all the way home, like that stupid little piggy. About 5 months later, I came to the conclusion that New York wasn't for me, so I packed my bags and I moved back in with my parents for a little bit. I got a job at Manny B Graphics Incorporated. About 3 months later, I was able to move out of my parents' place. I stayed there and continued to do community theater. At that point, I had no thoughts of going to another audition. But Derek called me, and that's how it all began.